Hi, I'm Laura Schroeder. I'm a brand strategist at Personio, and I've worked with a lot of organizations at different stages of digital transformation. My topic today is how organizations can strike a healthy balance between their digital and their people strategies to create a more human-centric and resilient work culture. I think this topic is particularly important at the moment. The corona crisis has accelerated digital adoption in some unexpected ways, and now is a good time to do a health check and start thinking about how we want to shape the post-corona workplace. There is concern about the future of work. There is concern about technology taking human jobs. And this is a justified concern because some jobs are going to go away and other jobs are going to evolve because of technology. But the jobs that won't be replaced by technology are the ones that require human skills, like empathy or complex problem solving or pride in pushing yourself past your limits or joy in contributing to something greater than yourself. These are very human things. Technology is a tool, but it's not a substitute for that all-important human connection. So as we start to talk about the new normal after Corona, it shouldn't be just, we shouldn't just be talking about digital and digitalization. We need to be talking about a human future of work, and it's HR's great task to ensure that this digital transformation is supporting human connection and motivation and innovation. And I want to drill into that a little bit, but first, a caveat. In all this anxiety, not only about technology taking jobs, but also all of these new skills we're supposed to either develop or possess in order to remain competitive. While we're worrying about all of that, maybe what we should be worrying about is the impact of technology and the distraction that technology can create on our own ability to be competitive. All of this technology, all of these skills, all this uncertainty about the future, it can all be quite overwhelming. And in fact, many people do find it overwhelming. And HR teams that want to prepare their organizations for the future of work need to consider, amongst other things, they need to consider the impact of distraction on the organization. How can HR stem the tide of distraction at work at a time when we depend on technology more than ever before? So there's not a silver bullet for this, but we start by taking a look at what drives human motivation at work and trying to select technologies that support these. Now, this is well understood territory. I'm not telling you anything that you don't know, but let's go through these very quickly. People want to feel a sense of progress. That's motivating. They want transparent communications, transparent strategy. They want to feel supported. They want flexibility and the choice to choose when, where, and how they work. They want to be included in decisions that impact their work. They want to feel a sense of purpose. They want to trust their leaders and they want to feel trusted. They want to achieve a blissful state of flow. That moment when the work is just, you're in the zone. That is actually a state of bliss. They want to be appreciated for the contributions, and of course, they want opportunities to grow professionally. Now, technology can actually help with pretty much all of these. There are applications that make it really easy to connect with people, to collaborate, to share information, acquire new skills. There are solutions that increase productivity. There are solutions that nudge people into more desirable behaviors. And there are technologies that help you identify problems early and make data-based decisions. So technology is not the problem. There's plenty of technology out there. And it can support a human-centric workplace if it's deployed with that goal in mind. Too often, however, that's not the goal. The goal is something else. The goal is productivity or data collection or monitoring behavior. And this is understandable. Companies are under a lot of competitive pressure. And so it's no surprise that they're going to adopt technologies that help them be more efficient and more productive. So that's not going to change, but integrating all of these technologies into people's daily flow of work is tricky. And And failing to do so is distracting. So it is important to find that right balance. Now, I want you to think for a minute about all the different applications that an employee might work with today at your organization. Let's just start with HR applications. So someone might enter their time worked. A manager may approve a vacation request, or an employee may request vacation. A hiring manager may log on to a recruiting tool to look at their candidates. You might do some online training in a different platform. You might conduct a performance review and then enter follow-up actions into an engagement tool. You might request headcount in a workforce planning tool, or you might submit an expense report or a travel request. And let's not forget things like engagement surveys, succession planning, talent grids, etc. This is just a list of possible HR tools that people have to interact with. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Of course, at work, we need to use a whole bunch of additional tools as well. So we start to see why it's so very important that organizations become digitally savvy, but that's not really the point. The point isn't that people have to work with technology. Of course they do. The point is that having so many different solutions that serve such different purposes can be very distracting. This is actually why so many tech projects fail. Now, you can fail spectacularly, and then there are usually organizational reasons why that happens. Or what I think gets not enough attention, you can fail quietly. So you do deploy the technology, people have the log on, it's there to be used, but because people don't see a clear benefit to them in using it, they use it as little as possible. So really that is a fail. And if no one checks back to see if this technology is conferring a clear competitive advantage, if it's helping people, then we can count this as a fail because people aren't going to use it. They ask, what's in it for me? And if the answer is not very much, then of course they're going to use it as little as possible. And that is why when you're making technology choices, it's good to ask yourself a couple of simple questions. First of all, is this technology, is it siloed? Is it another place to log on? Is it another user experience? Is it maybe forcing people to duplicate data that's maintained somewhere else? Is it distracting? Is it going to be constantly updating people with updates and notifications? It's going to be beeping all day. Is it prescriptive, forcing everyone to work in exactly the same way, in a cookie cutter way, so that they can't bring their personal preferences in play? And is it irrelevant to the individual? Most of these technologies are implemented for a reason. They're deployed with some business goal in mind. But again, it's important to understand from the individual point of view whether this is a beneficial technology. And sometimes all that's needed is clear communication to zero in on that personal benefit. A company I worked with deployed a CRM tool, and the head of sales asked everyone in sales to keep their customer data up to date, their forecast data up to date, because the executive team needed that information to make some strategic decisions. Now, salespeople, being salespeople, they didn't see the immediate benefit to them in using this tool, so the adoption was pretty spotty. The head of sales response was to write a very clear, concise, and heartfelt and authentic email to the entire sales organization explaining why the executive team needed this information and how having that information would be to the benefit of the sales team. It would help them be more successful. It would help them close more business. And with that communication, the personal benefit was clear, and the adoption skyrocketed from that point. So you want to help people understand the personal benefit. And if there isn't one, you really want to question that technology. Another question to ask is, if we say that having a bunch of different solutions can be distracting and we want to narrow down the list, you want to ask, where can you get the most bang for your buck in terms of driving a human-centric culture? Now, research we did at my company, Personio, we surveyed 500 HR professionals about this, and the results show that amongst the survey population, at least, technology that frees people from manual and repetitive tasks have the biggest bang for the buck because that allows HR to work more strategically. Now, this is nothing new. We've heard this before, and it's a good starting point. But the principle, while very good, free up HR to work more strategically, and that's a great goal for HR, it needs to be applied to the entire business. This is only a starting point. Other people in the business also need time to work more strategically. And this is why strategic HR and digital transformation go hand in hand. But the ultimate goal of strategic HR, if we try and roll these all up to one thing, is to help people do their best work. And you do that in three ways. You help them by connecting people with other people in the organization that can help them with opportunities, with the resources they need to be successful, by helping to ensure that everyone in the business understands how they contribute to the mission of the business, and giving people the means to grow professionally while at work. And if these things are done well, the other things from the poll, like engagement, these are going to follow, as well as organizational resilience. This is how you build a human-centric and resilient organization. So these are just a couple of examples. I have a longer version of this presentation where I really dive into specific technology solutions, but let's just suffice it to say that there are plenty of great solutions out there. Technology is not the problem. The question is, how do you choose? How do you keep your technology choices very human-centric? How do you avoid creating more distraction and disconnect in the workplace? And if you look at the leading research and case studies from organizations that really get this right, it boils down to three things. The first is to partner with your employees. This is really important because people want to have a voice in the decisions that impact them. It's almost common sense, but a lot of organizations don't do it for various reasons. One being that in a sizable organization, it can be difficult to do. But with so many enabling technologies out there, it absolutely can be done in a company of any size, and it is worth doing. A little more than a year ago, I teamed up with a former colleague of mine, Yvette Cameron, and we did a body of research. We interviewed 93 organizations, and we were quite pleased at the spread of size and industry, as well as theater of operations. It was a very good mix of companies. And we were looking for a correlation between taking a design thinking approach, so partnering with employees on these key decisions that impact them, and a high degree of engagement. Now, we didn't find that. At least we didn't find a perfect correlation, because while most of the companies that reported high engagement also said, yes, we partner with employees on these things, a couple of them didn't. A couple of them had high engagement and said, no, we don't partner, really hardly at all. And yet we still have high engagement. So it wasn't a perfect predictor. However, when we looked a little bit deeper and we looked at the companies that reported low engagement, and it was about a third of the responding companies, so a pretty high percentage reported a very low level of employee engagement. Amongst those low engagement companies, every single one of them also said we don't partner. So it's not a perfect predictor, but evidence suggests it certainly seems to be a strong contributor. Now, the second rule of thumb is personalization. We talk about personalized employee experience, but at the same time, we tend to seek standardization in our processes. So it doesn't totally add up. The thing is that, we know people want different things, and they want different things at different times, different stages of their career. So if you can achieve personalization in your technology choices and in your overall employee experience, this is a big advantage because these differences are a competitive strength if they're valued and nurtured. Now, there are some processes that have to be standard. That's okay. But for processes where you can be flexible and it doesn't create business risk, it's better to be flexible. Now, this may require doing some research across your organization. It may require adopting a methodology like design thinking or bringing in some consultants to help you do this. Certainly some enabling technologies will be involved. But this principle applies to every part of your business. It applies to your employee experience. It applies to your customer experience. People want different things. So the more personalized an experience you can offer, the more competitive advantage you have. Now, personalization leads us to purpose. The latest generation entering the workforce, they've grown up with a lot of access to information, a lot of personal freedom, and this has shaped their expectations. It's shaped their behaviors, and our talent strategies and our technology strategies need to take that into account. Leaders have not just an opportunity, but a business imperative to help people understand and identify with, in a very personal way, to identify with the mission of the company and help them feel connected to a higher sense of purpose. Now, I've seen a wonderful example of this recently that I want to share with you. The new CEO of Medtronic, Jeff Martha, put a post on LinkedIn that I thought was really, really good. I won't read all of it to you, but I want to highlight the mission of Medtronic, which is to alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life. That's a great mission. It's clear, it's noble, it's very easy to identify with. Now, a company like Medtronic has an edge when it comes to having a great purpose that people can feel personally connected to. But every company has some reason they exist. Every company has something they do that makes their customers' lives easier or better. And the most successful companies that have the most passionate employees live that purpose every day. They do it by hiring people who align with that purpose and by helping to make sure that everyone in the company understands the mission and understands how their work contributes to it. And of course, this involves enabling technologies, but their cultures are very human-centric. These are companies that have found that right balance. Now, who's better positioned than HR to help make sure that every person in the company understands how they contribute to the mission of the business? Now, as a final guiding principle, technology can amplify your purpose. It can help you communicate your purpose. It can help you align everyone in the organization behind that purpose. But the most magical moments typically don't happen online. Now, I say typically rather than never. My team has had some really nice online moments lately, and I'm sure your teams have as well. But in general, the real magic happens in human-to-human interactions, in experiences. There's a really nice piece of research by O.C. Tanner, which you can download on their website, and they presented at this event last year. And they found that while HR tends to focus on eliminating the negative experiences at work, they don't stay with us very long. We expect a little bit of friction at work. We're paid to do a job. We don't expect everything to just be totally easy. So we can tolerate a certain amount of friction and even frustration. What really sticks with people are these peak experiences, these memorable human moments. And I saw the SVP of People, Mindy Cox from O.C. Tanner, speak at an event, and she shared the following example, that at their organization there was someone, an executive working in health and safety who had done a really, really great job. And this person was going to be recognized in front of the entire company by the CEO. And they, without telling her, they invited her entire family, including her children, to come see her get this recognition. This is the kind of peak magical moment that really sticks with people. This is where your culture lives. So to sum up, finding the balance between people strategy and digital strategy, it involves two things. First, it involves selecting technologies that enable participation and connection. But second, it involves creating a culture of appreciation and shared purpose where these peak moments can come to life. So I'll leave you with that thought. Thank you for joining me, and a special thanks to the sponsors who made this event possible.